I'm Melanie Caputo. I'm a member of Post 35 in Mount Dora. I'm the adjutant of the post in Mount Dora. I am a writer with our chapter 35, and I'm the adjutant for chapter 35. And I'm also in District 6, and I'm the District 6 writer's adjutant. I also am the assistant chaplain for the district in District 6, and I'm the historian for my Unit 35 in the auxiliary. I'm also a member of the auxiliary. So I'm a Navy veteran. I spent 5 years active duty in Newport, Rhode Island as a Navy corpsman. I like to say I didn't do much. I went nowhere and did nothing, but we all know that's not true. But I did not go overseas. I did not see battle. I'm not an FMF corpsman, it was Marines. But I did a lot of school physicals and flight physicals. I delivered babies, which is things you don't do in the field. I was able to do that kind of stuff for our dependents and retirees and veterans. So it was really great. My service was awesome, and I really loved it. So that's me. All right, so this is the Adjutant Membership Training course. All right, so a lot of people just think the adjutant is like a glorified secretary and all we do is take minutes. That's not the case. We can be responsible for a lot of different things. On the post level, the adjutant is the know-all. We have to know everything that's going on. So when you have a chapter of writers, you kind of want to be that person too. Keep a calendar. I always put out, ride information, what's coming up in our area. We have a ton of different rides that go on. So I always like to post that kind of stuff too. So you always want to maintain the copy of your minutes and reports. And when we say reports, that could be mileage, that can be officer reporting. If anything changes, somebody had to step out because their wife was sick, and so now we need a new first vice. That kind of stuff. Handles all administrative functions and correspondence. So when anything comes down from department or district, it all comes down to the chapter's adjutant. So, and that goes along with the post. If anything comes down from the Legion side or the auxiliary side, and you want to pass it to your chapter, like we mentioned in the forum this morning, it's a compilation of all of us. We're not just Legionnaires. We're not just auxiliary. We're not just sons. So everybody has different information coming from their respective family members. So it's the adjutant's responsibility to kind of keep track of all that stuff and assimilate that to the writers. So, membership records. Some can, depending on how the size of your chapter, you may. David, do you need to come in and sit down?
No, I'm watching.
All right, you look like the eye. All right. Some chapters are large enough that they need a separate membership chairperson, and some chapters the adjutant maintains all the records for membership. You need to make sure that your members are in good standing. You want people that are in good standing with your chapter. Before they can renew their dues for the chapter, they have to renew their dues within their respective family. So you can't come and pay your dues to be a writer if you haven't paid your dues as an auxiliary member. Okay, so you always have to make sure that if they're ready to renew in the chapter, they have to have already renewed with their Legion, auxiliary, or SAL. You have to be eligibility for a writer. You got to check the SOP. You have to have your endorsement. You have to have your license. You have to have your bike. Unless you're going to be a supporter or you're an auxiliary member. You're riding with your husband or something like that. And you have to have proof of ownership and insurance. So you want to make sure that all that's done. We also need all of your contact information. Something as a person that rides, regardless of what group you ride with, or even if you ride alone, you need to make sure that your bike or on your vest or somewhere on your person, you have your contact information. Your name, address, phone number, emergency contact, what medications you are on, what chronic conditions you might have. I'm a diabetic, so if I fall out, that's something they need to know. If the medics come and save me, they need to know I'm diabetic. Or if I have heart disease, or if I have asthma and suddenly I have an asthma attack while I'm riding and that's why it went out, different things like that. It's always good to have that information. Give a copy of all that information to your adjutant. The adjutant wants to hang on to that information as well. So whenever you're signing your waivers as a chapter, get that contact information from your members, especially the members that might have medical alerts or anything like that. Your motorcycle needs to be licensed and insured. You need to maintain all the membership records and make sure they're in current and good standing. It's always good to have a roster. That way you can keep track of who's paid, who's not paid, who's interested, who's not interested. Oh, I'm not going to join you. I'm not going to renew. Why? That kind of stuff. Send delinquent notices. Hey, you haven't been to a meeting in a few months. Are you going to renew this year? We got this coming up, whatever. You always want to make sure that you're following up with your members and respective members. Some chapters have lifetime members. Right. Yes.
So when you say insurance, I'm not aware of any insurance requirements in the state of Florida for a motorcycle. So what insurance requirement are you speaking of?
The Legion wants you to be insured.
So give me the specs, 10,000, I mean 10, 20, 25,
That I don't
50?
have the details on. Do you? Do you have the details on that?
If you don't have your own personal insurance, you gotta have a liability
Yeah, you have to have PIP.
in the state of Florida. So if you don't have,
Is that an SOP?
no, it's the state of Florida. The state of Florida says,
For yourself. I'm
Right.
talking about you
Right.
running into
Right.
somebody else, there's no
Yeah.
liability insurance requirement?
no, for a motorcycle, you don't have, there's no, it's not like car insurance. So
Well, that's
if
like-
if you have insurance, like car insurance for your motorcycle, that's good. If not, then you have to have liability, not liability, you have to have your own personal insurance.
Yeah, because you can't get hit on a motorcycle.
So,
Right.
I just registered a
So-
motorcycle,
Yeah.
it was today, it was Monday, and I had to show proof of insurance to get a
Yeah.
tag for my bike.
Yes, you
Not
did.
my bike, my wife's bike.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you obviously, the state of Florida and the legalities of the law supersede anything the Legion puts out. So you have to be lawful overall before you can even do anything. And then, of course, the Legion is gonna say, we want you to have this, we want you to have that, this is, just cover your ass, basically.
I have registered 4 bikes in the state of Florida, and never have they asked for proof of insurance, as long as I have owned the bike outright.
In Florida, if you ride without a helmet.
Without a helmet, you have, I was getting there, but if you ride without a helmet, you have to have insurance.
Right.
And that's the only time
I
it's
bought my
required.
bike outright, it's paid off, they didn't ask me for my insurance. If you have a lien on your bike and you're paying on it, then by law, your lien holder is gonna ask you for insurance, and if you don't put insurance on
And
it,
as of Monday, I had no lien on this bike.
and they
They
still ask
asked
you
for
for it.
proof of insurance.
So ultimately, it's just
Recounting.
common sense, and it's better for you to have some
Yeah.
kind of insurance.
I have full coverage on all of my bikes.
So, especially in Florida, I don't know where you ride, but there's nowhere that's super safe. The roads suck, the weather's a factor. People in Florida are from other places, so they're not familiar with roads,
It's also a
and they never
no-fault
know where
state.
they're going, and so you're always at risk. So it's always just better to have insurance.
Okay, so still though,
I'm not the
But yes.
insurance
You don't-
authority, so.
You don't have to, they do not have to provide proof of their insurance on their bike, unfortunately. We can ask for it, but because the state of Florida does not require it, if
that's
they
kind
say
of,
they don't have it, there's nothing we can do.
that's kind of my point, that, it says you need insurance, but then it doesn't tell you what kind of insurance you have to have.
Sure.
Well, it does say local insurance requirement.
Right, but this,
So like,
So,
if
so
you
that's
got
what I
a
was
member that
asking
doesn't
for.
wear a helmet,
I'll
They have to have
I'll
one.
see if I can follow up on that and
Okay.
get some answers, and I'll have them mentioned at the Saturday
it'd be
forum.
nice if it, I know you're doing an
Clarify.
SOP rewrite, it'd be
Yeah.
nice if it was actually outlined in
I'll get
there
some
in black
clarification
and
on
white.
that. We want to maintain a full accurate count of records. That includes lifetime members. Some chapters have lifetime membership, some members don't. So each chapter is different. But regardless of what the membership is, it has to be up to date by January 31st. You get that like that, January 1st. So obviously your membership expires at the end of each year. I know we start pushing memberships in June after conference, or after convention. And that's so that the adjutants don't get bum rushed in December with everybody wanting to renew, because it's a process trying to get your cards out, trying to, maintain the records to national, all that kind of stuff. So just be mindful of why we do it early and get it done before January 1st. I've already had people in my January meeting going, oh, I didn't renew, and then find out they didn't even renew as a Legionnaire yet. I'm like, gotta go back and renew as a Legionnaire. And they're like, I'm like, I'm the adjutant for the post. I know you haven't renewed. Finance officer. Some of the adjutants have serve as a finance officer as well. Like I said, some chapters are large, some are small. Smaller chapters, the service officer is the adjutant, and the adjutant is a service officer or finance officer. Excuse me. Maintain accurate records of transactions. Deposit the funds approved by the chapter. Provide financial reports to the executive committee of the post. Everybody should know that the riders are a program of the Legion. Everything the riders do, we have to report back to the Legion. So that includes our finances. So if you raise money, you had a dinner, you had a ride, you had a poker run, whatever money you made, whatever money you spent, you bought a band, had a night, all that has to be reported back to the Legion. So after we have our meeting, the finance officer hands in a report and I take it back to my finance officer at the post. So if you're not doing that, please make sure your finance officer knows that. That's probably covered in the finance officer class.
Can I comment on that?
Yes.
So if you have a separate finance officer, at the end of every meeting, after they have read their finance report, they need to give it to you, the adjutant, to put as a part of the records of that meeting. The minutes of the previous meeting and the financial report go together as part of the permanent record.
For everybody that doesn't know, I don't know if everybody knows Chrissy. Chrissy works with Bev as the department adjutant. She's ultimately going to be replacing Bev as Bev starts stepping down. So she's the department assistant adjutant right now, which is why she interjects.
When you say permanent record, you mean hard copy record? Or
Yes.
can that be a digital
It
record?
can be a digital record.
But official, I guess,
Yeah,
official record
official
is
record.
more of the proper term. And then of course, if you're managing the money, you wanna collect dues. Some chapters, that's all the money they get.
So, what official records do you have to permanently keep? I know
Minutes,
it's the minutes,
membership reports,
membership.
financial, anything financial, deposits, expenditures, expenses, anything like that.
So all of that has to be permanent.
Oh, yeah.
How long?
Oh, yeah.
We keep our 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
We keep our 7 years. So if you have anything that's dated back in the 7 years, scan it in and put it on a flash drive, and then you have it, and you don't have a folder full of madness or a filing cabinet full of craziness. Yes.
We just left a chapter that was dissolved. How long do those records have to be kept?
7 years.
7 years from the date, whatever, like if you have something from 2020, then 13, but, you know, each year I purge what I can, because I don't like to keep a lot of stuff. So as soon as that's done, I'm gonna burn the house down.
And with that being said, that's IRS, that's the federal IRS, you have to do it. That's not, I mean, we abide by the law
Yep.
says, so.
Like I said, whatever the law is, that supersedes
Yes.
anything that the Legion does. So, if anything that we do or that's posted or in the SOPs or the Constitution bylaws, if that contradicts the law you know, you're not gonna do anything from the Legion that's gonna keep you in trouble and take you to jail, right? I mean, I love the Legion, but no thanks. And the Legion adjutants and judge advocates and all that kind of stuff, they do their research really diligently to make sure that all the stuff that are put in our constitutional bylaws and our SOPs and all that kind of stuff is within the parameters of what is expected of the law.
I'm just a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just curious. Does people in this position need to be, especially finance wise, need to be bondable?
If you are a finance officer, yes, you should be bonded.
Okay.
If you handle money in any capacity, your post finance officer should be bonded, your director should really be bonded, or your commander should be bonded. Anybody who works with your finances in the kitchen or behind the bar.
We have a finance person and our writers.
Right.
Do they need to be bonded as well?
Yes. Yes.
They should be.
They should be. I mean, and if they're handling a lot of money and you see the kind of money riders can make,
Yeah.
the money we generate for different occasions and different situations, it's a lot of money. As somebody, you know, I would want to not be completely responsible, I'm making up words, responsible
Yeah.
for that kind of stuff. So having myself bonded takes a little of that liability off, and it also says I'm vetted. I'm responsible. You can trust me.
Right.
You know, I've
I'm
been
just
background
curious, 'cause
checked.
I don't recall seeing that verbiage in the SOP or the.
I'm not sure if it's in the
It's
writer's
not.
SOP, but it's in the
It's
post
It's-
constitutional bylaws.
It is in the post and department's constitutional bylaws for the American Legion.
Uh-huh.
And with this being a
Program.
program under the American Legion, that's what we have to follow.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean
thank
to
you.
interject.
Nope. At a glance, so you want to support your director. So if your director's holding a meeting, you want to make sure that you work with him on different, you know, you don't want to keep interrupting, saying, oh, you need this, oh, you need this, you forgot that. Get together with your director before the meetings and make sure that he or she has everything that they need to conduct the meeting. There's, you know, committee reports, there's the road captain, there might be a historian, you know, they go through the whole bit of who has what. So support your director and letting them know, you know, the flow of the meeting, so give them the information they need. record the minutes accurately, keep records, and you always wanna secure your records. We wanna make sure that, you know, we're not just ho-humming it about, like, right, my post, we have an office, the Sons, the auxiliary, and the writers shared office. So we have to keep our records separate from everyone else's, so we don't get them confused, and they don't have access to our information. Just make sure that you're being mindful of the records that you keep. Distributing minutes, everybody does this a little differently. Sometimes we read the minutes at the beginning of the meeting, and everybody says, you know, approve the minutes as read, great. I email mine up the week before the meeting, so I just say, approve the minutes as emailed and read. Is there any discrepancies, anything to add, any changes that need to be made? And then you can approve the minutes. You don't have to disperse a copy of hard copy to everybody in the chapter. You don't have to post it so people can come up to the bulletin board and read it. Email it out to the people who need it emailed. And if you don't want to email it and just want to read it every month at a meeting, well, we were doing a thing where we were like, oh, you want to know what's going on? Come to the meeting.
So it's an option.
It is an option, but if you want your chapter to stay informed, like I have a lot of people that never come to me, but they'll show up for rides all day long. So I still email stuff out so they have that information. Because you know what comes with rides? Money. Officer reporting at CPR and addendum. Does everybody know what a CPR is? It's not resuscitation. No. Okay. It's a consolidated post report. Everything the riders do has to be reported to the Legion, and the Legion reports it to department reports it to national. So at the end of every year, all that information gets put in, and the riders' information is great, because you know why we track our mileage, we check our volunteer hours, we check, all that stuff counts. So you need to keep track of that so you can report it into your Legion, and so the adjutant of the Legion puts it on the CPR, and we get credit for all the work we do, all the stuff that's going on.
That class is in this room at 2:00.
That class is in this room at 2:00 following this meeting. Membership validation, we kind of went through that, making sure that your members are active members of their respective family. Attach all copies of reports with minutes, Chris kind of went over that, making sure that everything is kind of compiled together. You can scan it, you can add it into, keep it a digital copy, however you want to do it. And keeping information flowing, like I said, you just want to make sure that everybody's informed, and keeping the director on point is key. Because there's nothing worse than calling a director and being like, hey, bike night Saturday night, do you know who's in the kitchen this Saturday? So you want to make sure that everybody is kind of on point, especially the director, because when anybody has any questions, that's who they go to, right? All right, this is a meeting minutes template. So if you are confused about how to keep minutes, you've never kept minutes before, you're new to the role, this is a really good go-by. So you can look this over. By the way, all these PowerPoints and all these classes are available on the website. So if you want a copy of this, there's also in this PowerPoint, but you can go specifically and click on template and print out a hard copy, and then you don't even really have to take minutes, you just kind of fill in the blank. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Does anybody have any questions about taking minutes? All right. Optional positions, membership. So as the adjutant with the ridership, like I said, depending on the size of your chapter, you could be responsible for membership. We kind of went in detail about that. Maintaining membership records, keeping, providing accurate rosters, maintaining the contact information and release forms, informing your members of the information. Like I said, you want to put information out there. Maintain current membership no later than 30 days before their due date. So if you know that they are due at the end of the year and they haven't renewed by Thanksgiving, you need to light a fire and say, you know, are you staying with the chapter? Sometimes people transfer posts and you don't even know it. So how many people know that if your post has a chapter, you have to belong to that chapter?
Yes.
You can't go join another chapter. I'm a member of 35, I can't go join 63's chapter. I could ride with them all day, but I have to belong to my 35 chapter. Now, if 35 did not have a chapter, then I can go join whatever chapter I want. So if your post doesn't have a chapter, or you know of a post that doesn't have a chapter, but people want to ride, you're like, oh, well, you know, I'm over in Tuscaloosa, Florida, Cracker Country, and we don't have a chapter. Oh, you can come ride with us. You can join my chapter. Now, if they get a chapter, they have to transfer over. But
not to sound argumentative, but is that in writing anywhere?
I believe it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Yep.
that one
And
I know
actually,
it
in my
is.
chapter, I have 2 members from a post
That
that
doesn't
don't
have
have a chapter.
That it is, I just don't remember where.
Cause I have that going on in my district right
I think it's in the bylaws.
What district are you in?
now, 13.
13. Yeah, I think it is in the constitutional bylaws.
Yeah.
Who has my notebook with the sign-in sheet?
That way here.
Is everybody signed in?
No, the
Anybody
one
not signed in?
person, the last person.
Last person? Okay, get me after class and we'll get you on there. I just want to, alright, so we wanna ask about insurance, right? And
Yeah, this
no
is
chapter,
which constitution?
chapter membership. Alright, where was I? Provide a list of members who are delinquent. So, if you're keeping membership records, this is all basically that, membership. If somebody's delinquent and now they're showing up to meetings and they're coming up with rides and they're like, yeah, I'm a member of this chapter. I'm like, well, not really, because you're delinquent. You needed, I mean, you set your membership dues. My post is $10. You can't pay $10 for New Year membership? It's wrong.
Mine's 20.
Yeah, so each post is different, but none of it's $1,000.
And this is the time of year to start enforcing it, and if you don't pay your dues by such and such a date, I'm sorry, you can't write it.
Right, and you can ask people to remove their patch. Plain and simple. You know, it's not an MC, so we don't wanna be like jerks about it, but if you can't come up with membership dues, then you don't have the honor of wearing the patch on your back.
So we had an instance, a chapter from District 8 rode to Naples, Florida, from
Okay.
Venice, okay? And this was in mid-January. They did not have current riders cards. They claimed they hadn't had a post meeting or a chapter meeting, so their cards still expired on December 31st.
Right.
They captured the plaque. I asked my equivalent in District 8 to return the plaque. I got crickets.
Yeah, that's curious.
You know, I can't go into another post and use their services without a current
Current
membership
membership
card.
card.
Riders should not be able to go.
Absolutely, you
and
can't
capture-
100%.
participate in any of the events. Same thing, you wanna get credit for round robin, but none of your members have current membership cards? That's not really a fair fight, you're not up for any awards. So, it's up to you to make sure that you're keeping up to date on that kind of stuff. If you're not, your charter could be revoked. You know, your director, your adjutant, your chapter officers are responsible for your chapter running properly, and if you're doing stuff like that, that could jeopardize your chapter.
And it doesn't fare well with us.
Absolutely, and you're pissing off other chapters, you know, you come to these events and you're talking about them like, what the hell, what'd they do?
Yeah.
So don't be that chapter, don't be that chapter that people wanna talk about because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Alright, maintain a copy of blank membership cards. That way, when somebody's ready to membership renew, you can do it right then and there.
Or the stickers.
Yes,
My chapter doesn't use cards.
you have stickers, put them on your bike,
No, we put them on your
card.
family card.
on your family card, you can do that too.
Yeah. And I
all that
have
kind of stuff
recently
is
gone
also-
to a stamp as well with the motorcycle with our chapter on it.
That's smart too. However you wanna reflect that that membership is paid for that year, you can do that.
And that's an easy way to make sure they have their family membership.
Yeah.
Cause they can't, I won't give them their new sticker
So
unless
they
they have
have a
their
new
new
card.
family card.
That's smart, that's not a bad idea.
And you can, the stickers she's referring to, you can get off of Emblem Sales. I went to, I think it was Hobby Lobby, it might have been even, Office Max, and I got, no, it wasn't Office Max, cause we had it specialty made. But I had a specialty stamp
Yeah.
with a small motorcycle with chapter 57 that I use in place of the sticker
Yeah.
for their, current
Eligibility.
eligibility.
Nice.
That way I can show, okay, yeah, you paid your current membership.
That's not a bad idea. See, like I said at the beginning, everyone's different, they all have their own little different ideas and ways of doing things, and this is a good place to find out what works, because those both are really great ideas. And then you can't be like, oh, I had my card. Oh, you know what, it got soggy because I sweated my ass off in the blue jeans I had on that ride. All right, collect yearly dues and issue membership cards appropriately, that's copied. Detailed report of current membership, we talked about that. All monies collected above $25 should be properly turned over to the finance officer. So if you're holding more money than you need to, just give it to the finance officer. You don't wanna make that mistake, you put it in your pocket, and then you went and got gas, and you broke that 20, and then you're like, oh crap, that wasn't my 20, it was membership money. So just be mindful of that kind of stuff. Membership chair will send out current roster to all members at a minimum of every 6 months. So you should cover that with everybody. That increases your membership. If I already know who's in my chapter, I know who's not in my chapter. So then you can recruit people to ride. We all ride with people who aren't members of the Legion, right? Or riders. Other Legionnaires or auxiliary members. You want to recruit them in. Come on. I'm also a member of Combat Vets Association, and I have a ton of those guys that are members of my post, but they're not members of the riders. They can ride with us. We can ride with them. You can be members of both associations. So it's a good way to recruit members into your chapter. And then the more members you have, the more money we raise. That goes to the national, and bing, bing, boom, Congress loves us.
I worked in the government a long time, and there was a big, when I worked in pressure about sending out personally identifiable information on email. And everything on the roster is personally identifiable information.
It's your name and address, which is on every form of mail you get.
And your email address.
And your email address.
Phone numbers.
So if you have
addresses.
information that you don't want shared, let your membership chair or adjutant know, you have my information, it's my emergency
Well,
contact.
is there any legality to it? Because
Like having us be responsible for putting that information out? Like we don't sell those lists or anything like that.
no, but
Putting it out in the universe?
I don't. The government
that I know.
cannot do it. I mean, they would stop the email and screen it. If you put someone's name and a phone number or address, you can't do that.
I haven't
And
heard anything like
I'm
that.
probably just
You
over
can do
the
a
pill.
blog.
So I work for the VA. The only thing we can't send through the email is anything that's anywhere near close to a social security number.
Right.
So like, even if I'm giving you a phone number, if I miss a number, because that's 10 and our social's 9, if I miss a number and I put 9 instead of 10, it will flag my email.
I think it's a
And it'll
social.
stop it from going because it thinks it's a social, but it has no issues with addresses, it has no issues with names. It might have an issue with date of birth if I'm doing social and date of birth.
I don't need your date of birth.
It
I
varies
like you,
department to
but I'm
department.
not throwing your
Yeah.
party. Free
Well,
birthday.
date of birth can be critical because you can steal someone's identity, for example. My friends
Exactly.
worked with Air Force.
Yeah.
You couldn't put out phone numbers.
Most of us are military or are related to military in some capacity, so we know how information works. So just be mindful of the information in your position, the information that you're getting from your members. So protect that. If you don't want your crap out there, then don't put other people's crap out there. I've not seen it in any CBLs or any SOPs that we have any kind of responsibility or legalities for information distribution.
And I actually have 2 members that asked me please to not publish. I can put their names on the roster and they can be BCC'd on the group emails,
Right.
but they don't want it public. And if they tell me that, I'm fine with that.
There you have it.
Okay, but just, blow that.
No, this is a good place for that kind of input. Validation of membership, dues must be paid, you gotta be current with your family. If you're a membership of another post, ensure that the post does not have a rider's program, and we just talked about that. Accident waiver and release of liability form. Every chapter should have this for every rider. That includes passengers, supporters, anybody who is gonna be involved in any rides, or working in the kitchen, or anything. If anything happens, then you have this accident waiver. We do one once a year, for every member.
You
And
say that's
then,
in the official records?
Yep.
Your official records you
Yep.
keep?
Yeah. and then I also have, one, that when we register, they should have how to sign the waiver. We have one like that for rides, that whoever shows up for the ride, they have to sign the waiver. So that if something happens, they can't hold the American Legion responsible for whatever's happened. So that waiver has to be signed out, yes.
I was just gonna add that all this information is on the website, resources and forums, so you don't have to create this stuff. All you need to do is download it.
For anybody who hasn't been to the website, it's actually been tweaked and updated in the last month or two. It's amazing.
I
It's
love the website.
absolutely incredible. It's the best tool that you can possibly use. If you haven't visited, we have a calendar. You can use a calendar. You can put all your information on the calendar for everyone to see. So I'm like, oh, they have a ride in Naples. Oh, I'll take a weekend trip, go down there, do that poker run, go to the beach one day, ride it back. Fantastic. How would I know that? How would I not? I don't live near Naples. I live here in Central Florida. Go down there. I didn't know the post had a run. I go there. So use that as a tool. Get on the website. I can't encourage that enough. Facebook is good. If your chapter, make a Facebook page for your chapter, and you can post pictures and events and post information. It's just another source of communication. Can't miss out on that. Incorporate your membership renewal with post early bird membership. A lot of posts do early bird if you sign up before September, I think, from July to September. And then they have early bird dinners or whatever. So make sure that you work with your post on all of that. Speaking of website, Joker's in the back room, we just covered how great the website is. So thank you, Joker. Provide your chapter information on the CPR and addendum in May. That's when it's due. We gotta turn that in before conference and convention in June. So the department has their updates because we have the big convention in June, and departments that's when they roll over their new year. We get new membership cards, all that kind of stuff. So the post adjutant has to make sure that the CPR and addendum are completed by May. So we record how many riders we have, how many miles they drove, what events they put in, what volunteer hours they have on file for the whole year. So if you do that, a lot of chapters do it every month. You can, after your meeting, give that stuff to the adjutant. Or do it quarterly. You can do it quarterly or biannually, but get that information. Don't wait to give the whole year's information to your adjutant in the end of April. Because then the adjutant's gonna be running around trying to, doesn't know whether to wind their ass or scratch their watch. Keep accurate records. Provide a membership packet. If you have a new member who's new to the Riders program, give them as much information about the program as possible. Give them a copy of the SOP. Tell them about your local information on rides. Maybe you have some local dealerships or mechanics that are good that work with the Legion or Veterans Associations. Just make sure, whatever you want to put in that packet that is going to be good for that member. You want to make sure that your members are as well informed as possible. Perform routine audits. It's not a bad idea to go through and be like, did I do that? You know what? I processed that membership, but I don't think I wrote it down on the roster. Make sure you're checking yourself and checking each other. So work with the other officers in your chapter and making sure that all that kind of information gets done, because it all is different pieces of the puzzle. And if you have one piece missing, then your puzzle's not complete, right? So you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, so to speak. Potential members voted into the chapter. Some chapters have a welcome letter from the director. You always want to have your accident waiver and release, your emergency contact like we talked about, and medication listing. This is really important because if I said I was diabetic. If I go down, did I not take my insulin today? Or did my third gear get stuck and I don't know how to drive, So standard operating procedures, again, if you want to inform them of the SOP, that's excellent information for new riders. Standing rules, that's something the chapter does on their own. Each chapter has their own standing rules. So make sure whatever your chapter's standing rules are, your members are informed of yours specifically and have their membership card. So this is all good information to give to brand new members.
Do you keep their medication listing?
Yes. If you get I have a small sheet. It has all my member information, emergency contact information, and med listing. So I know everybody's meds. Now, I'm not like, hey, they're not in my pocket right now. Hey, mine's in here. Actually, mine's on my bike. But you want to make sure that you have a listing, because maybe they don't have it on their bike. Maybe they don't keep it in their vest. It's just handy to have. It's just it's good practice.
They may not want to.
Sorry.
They may not want to share that.
If they don't want to disclose that, they don't have
I'd
to.
ask them to fill out that card.
Right. This is, again, all this information is on the website. You can print it out and have members fill it out for themselves. If they don't, they don't. Everybody's an adult here. If I don't wanna give you my information, I don't wanna give you my information. You don't have to be like, well, you have to, they said, and the information's on the website, and the writers department said that, no. We're all independent. If you don't wanna share your information, don't. And if people don't wanna do it, you don't have to pressure them into it. It's,
As you said, we're all adults.
yeah, it's just safe practice, and not everybody practices safety. So, yes, ma'am.
Now, something I've added more so for the emergency point of contact, I don't know how many wife and husbands are out there, girlfriend, boyfriends who each own their bike and each go on a ride with you, and if that's the case, I ask for a secondary emergency point of contact besides each other, that way, God forbid, they're both on our ride and some idiot crashes into us and something happens to both of them, I have somebody else I can reach out to.
That's smart. Did everybody hear that and understand what she said?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, that's a smart practice too. Like I said, all this information is on the website. You can print out each document independently and have it filled out like that. A membership template is another go by. You can make your own spreadsheet, or you can use something like this. Who has questions or anything to add? Ma'am?
My assumption is that all of the eligibility that is for a member goes for a supporter as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Some chapters have different pricing. If you're a full member, it's this much, but if you're only a supporter, it's this much. And something that's also not really in the SOP, or at least I've not found it, is any member can be any role. Some places, so combat vets, I'll use them as an example. Combat veterans is a group of veterans, a motorcycle association, and to be a full member of the combat veterans, you have to have combat service on your DD 214. I'm a supporter. I never saw combat. I never left the States. I'm a member of the combat vets, but I'm only a supporter. As a supporter, I can never be the commander of combat vets. That doesn't apply with the riders. If you are a member and you are current standing, everything's good. If you're an auxiliary member or a son, you can be a director. Ma'am.
Just not a
That's in
supporter.
your standing rules,
Yes.
because my chapter's standing rules, the director has to have a motorcycle endorsement and a motorcycle.
Yes.
But it's up to your chapter
Sure.
to set that in your standing
I
rules.
have a road captain right now, who is the wife of my director, who rides with him, but she's the road captain. Okay. So she's like, well, I own the bike, my name's on the title. I'm
That's
like,
right.
okay, so she meets the eligibility that is listed in the SOP and our standing rules. So she was voted in as road captain. Yes, sir.
I'm pretty sure the SOP says that supporters can only be a finance officer, an adjutant, and a chaplain.
Yes.
You're correct.
100% a supporter.
And then I
It is in the
misinformed.
SOPs.
Yep.
No,
So I can't be a director.
They
No.
can't be a director,
No.
can't be assistant
No.
director, there's a number of positions they can't be.
Road
As
captain.
Even
a
if it's
supporter.
written in your standing rules,
Right.
you can't change it?
You can't change the SOP.
No.
Not the SOP, but you can put write up your standing orders, like she is saying, and request for approval for your standing orders from Beverly,
No, you
or from
can't.
department, yes, you can.
No, you
Because we
cannot
just did it for
separate.
our standing
We
orders
could
to
be
add
able to.
our supporter as a historian.
So you can
And
request,
it's changed back,
that's
it
an
has come
optional-
back, it
That's
has,
an optional position.
Yeah, that's
I would
an
think
optional
supporters
position.
can
but
do that.
it's still not in the SOP that's a position of a supporter can hold. So we had to rewrite our standing orders or rules requesting our historian to be able to be a supporter, or a supporter to be able to be our historian. Send it up to department, it had to be approved by Mr. Wyland and Beverly and whoever else signed it before it came back to us. So yes, you can resubmit your standing rule. Now, I don't know if you have if they'll approve a supporter being your director or being an assistant director. I don't think they would take it that high. But as a historian, they did approve that.
Okay.
But-
So I just.
but that's in our
relay that
standing order.
information, I apologize, I was
That is in our
misinformed.
standing orders. That is not part of the SOP.
Right, okay, so actually,
The
I just,
SOP states exactly what.
These
you
are
said.
really good questions, for the operating procedures class. And you can talk to directors and bring that kind of stuff up, when things wanna be changed and what.
He is correct about
Yeah,
that.
yes, the SOP, but if you wanna change it and how to change it, or
We
add
just changed,
things or
yeah, we
stuff
just
like that.
changed our standing rules.
I mean, I'll be honest, sometimes the person who's a director is not a great director. Maybe a son would, this guy over here, he's really educated, he's a aficionado on bikes, he's a great rider, he's taken all the safety courses.
Yeah.
He would be a good director, he's got it together, he's organized.
Yeah.
So if you wanna change something or push it, that would be the class to
Now, I
take.
think where the confusion comes in, and I think I just caught it, is it doesn't matter if you're a son's member for your home member, legionnaire, or an auxiliary member. You are a rider, you can be any position.
That's what I thought, but he's saying
A
no.
supporter is somebody that's not part of one of the other legion, is
No,
a
that's
I
supporter.
don't know what he was talking about is,
They still have to be a part of, they
Right,
still
but
have
they're-
to be a part of
they
the
don't-
other,
You're
of the
right.
legionnaire, they have to be
Yes,
a
they
Right.
still have to be a
But they
member of the family.
don't, they don't
No,
own a bike.
what he's
Right.
talking about is in the SOP, it says particular positions have to be owner operators.
Yes.
They
Right.
cannot be supporters.
That part.
Right.
That's the
Yes.
part he's talking
Yeah.
about. Any member of the family that
Can
is
be-
owner
Anybody can do
can
that.
be a
Right.
director in
Right.
the other
So
position.
you have to be owner operator.
Correct.
To be any
But I
position.
don't believe
No,
it says
to
you have
be
to be
some of
owner
the
operator for road captain, which
I think you're gonna have to check, cause I think it does.
I think
does.
it
it
is.
does.
It does. The only
I've read
ones,
through all kinds of stuff and I haven't seen that yet.
the only
Adjutant
position
doesn't.
is an actual supporter who does not own a motorcycle
Right.
is the adjutant, finance, and chaplain.
That's correct.
Per the SOP.
Thank you for the education on my part, cause
Per the SOP. And
I went through the whole, I thought I told through that whole thing about her being.
But a wife
road
is still
captain.
considered an owner of the motorcycle.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean,
And
I
I would
have-
discredit that in a heartbeat
Yeah,
for
nope.
nothing, so. Any other questions or any
She's
comments?
never ridden the bike?
No, she rides the bike, she's never driven the bike.
but because she is
Okay.
a
She rides
wife of a
big.
husband who owns a bike, she's a rider.
Right.
She's not a
That's not an
supporter.
operator.
With the bikes.
The owner, but she's not an operator.
Exactly.
I mean, cause I have husband and wives.
I would have to even check if she has
Well, as long as she's a
endorsement.
member.
So if she has an endorsement and so owns a bike, then that's owner operator, even if she doesn't drive. Because we have a lot of members who, have graduated from 2 wheels to 3 wheels and from 3 wheels to 4 wheels because of medical
Oh,
issues or
yeah.
age or whatever. So we don't wanna discredit those people. If you're an owner and operator, you have a bike, you have an endorsement, that doesn't mean you have to ride every day or ride at all.
That is true.
Well, I appreciate everybody being here. I hope that you guys were informed on some things that you didn't know. I was. Which is good for me, because I learn something every class I teach. I've been to the American Legion College, I've been trained to trainer classes. I'm trying to get more educated on different things within the Legion, so these classes help me as well. So thank you for being here, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the summit.